Oh, all right. Hi, everybody. My name is Cheryl Haab. I am a freelance court reporter in Southern California, and I did write something down. So bear with me. I'm going to try to ad lib it a little bit and keep it more personal. But anyway, you're probably wondering, what's this white girl doing speaking to y'all about AAPI Heritage Month? So welcome to my life. That's my life. I am what I like to affectionately call a secret undercover Asian. Um, and my experience is probably a lot different than a lot of the experiences of my colleagues in the AAPI community, but I'm hoping it resonates in a world where people like myself of mixed heritage live in this strange netherworld where you don't ever quite feel like you belong. I think Sam mentioned that, and that's something that really resonates with me is never quite feeling like you belong in any space. I was born and raised in Toronto, Canada, first generation child of two immigrants. My father is from Switzerland, and my mother is Chinese Filipino, raised in Manila, ethnically half Chinese, but 100% Filipino with all of our gatherings. And it was almost like being Swiss was not even a thing in our family. My mother's culture uh, definitely ruled the roost. So my father is a consummate Swiss stern military man. He's very regimented, be terse. But my mom is the diametric opposite. She is a warm, enthusiastic, very religious Filipino, loves to feed everybody, just like Sam. I think we have very similar experiences in that vein. And to say that I had a colorful and interesting and unique childhood, I think is an understatement. I was born in the early 80s, and I think it was the time where mixed race families were still somewhat of a curiosity. Um, and by some mystery of genetics, even though I did have a few friends that were mixed in similar heritage mixes to myself, I came out looking relatively white. I think I look a little more Asian now, but when I was little, I had almost blonde hair and it was very curly. So I looked nothing like my mother when I was little, and it caused confusion on more than one occasion. I can't tell you how many times I had friends, adults, teachers, even strangers say, "Hey, is that your nanny?" Which is so unbelievably rude. But in the 80s, everybody just kind of said what they felt, right? And you've got to imagine how perplexed I was as a child to hear things like that, because it never really occurred to me that my mom was different. I'd be like, "That's my mom. What do you mean, the nanny?" It didn't really hit home until I got older why those people were asking questions like that. And now when I look back, I realize that maybe at that time we did not resemble the quintessential Canadian or American family, because we just looked a little bit different. But all the signs were there that I didn't pick up on, like all my friends discussed at my school recess snacks, shrimp crackers, chicharrones, patis, whatever it is. It was always some weird Filipino food. And I really was, I couldn't help but smile when I heard that common theme from people in different parts of the Asian community, that our food has always been somewhat of a mystery to others, right? It smells weird, it looks weird, it tastes weird, but it's really delicious. And I think that people are starting to catch on to that. But I think that most of us can really identify with being a young person and being in, the United States, or in my case, in Canada, and eating the foods that to us were normal, but to them were curiosities, and being ostracized to some extent for the smell or the taste or the look of what we just thought to be normal food. Um, we spent most of our Christmases going abroad, not because we were rich and liked to travel, but my parents' families were both overseas. So I think that also kind of kept me feeling separate from my friends who got to do fun things, what I thought was more fun, like going to the cottage or going skiing for Christmas vacation. We went to the Philippines and we spent, 10 days celebrating Christmas. If you've ever been there, I think it's a little bit different than some Asian countries in the sense that Christmas like never ends. It's just the never ending holiday. And it's probably the most fun thing you'll ever do is Christmas in the Philippines. And instead of going to ballet and swimming, I went to Tagalog classes and hula dancing, because I don't know if it's like that here, but in Toronto, at least, every little Filipino girl, instead of ballet, you danced hula. And I was always like, they were like, why is the white girl dancing hula? But it's being a Hapa sometimes makes you feel like you're not white. People look at you and they can tell that you're maybe not Caucasian, so you don't really feel like you belong there. And then with your Asian friends, it does feel a little strange. But the meshing of my parents' cultures was a blessing in my life for a lot of reasons. It taught me a lot about different cultures and about compromise. My dad was not religious. My mom was. That my mom would cook these really interesting fusion foods before fusion was trendy. But there are hardships too. I would never be ignorant enough to say that I've experienced the kind of racism that I know that a lot of people in the Asian community have. For example, the story that Christy shared about being spit on, not looking terribly Asian. I don't have that experience, but one thing that I have experienced a lot because of the way I look is people who will say awful things about the Asian community in front of me because they think it's a safe space. They think this person can't be Asian. And a lot of people feel very comfortable saying really awful things about our community when they think that you're one of them. So I used to just kind of smile and laugh, but now these days when that does happen, I make my best effort to make them as uncomfortable as possible and say, oh, well, before you continue, I should let you know that ... And I've gotten some really profuse and insincere apologies coming out of that. But it is interesting to see people's true colors when they don't know who you are. So always be careful about what you say because you never know who you're talking to. But I know we've got quite a few people to cover, so I'll just wrap up by saying that I'm so proud of our community of Asian and Pacific Islander people. I think that we went from, I think of Breakfast at Tiffany's, where they had Mickey Rooney playing Asian person and just mocked the Japanese culture. And I think of that to where we are now, to people like Tak who can use his name and not be ashamed and be proud, to Samantha eating her delicious and stinky food, to all of us. I watching Everything Everywhere All at Once, sweep the Oscars. Those things inspire me. Seeing AAPI people in the news and media being successful and being celebrated, not just because they're Asian, but just because they're amazing people who happen to be Asian. I think that we've come a really long way. And I just pray that the violence that we've seen in the last couple of years will abate when people realize that, at the end of the day, we're all just human beings. So I'm really happy and proud to be part of this community. Half of me, all of me, but it's a really big part of who I am. And I'm very proud. So thank you.